And I want you to understand that it would be a cold day in hell before that Asian teacher or that Latino teacher says your son might be gifted, because they would have to admit that he may be smarter than all of those Asian and Latino kids in that classroom. And that's not something they're going to admit. America is in a state of heightened anti-blackness. Latinos and Asians never really like black people anyway. And in California, they really don't like black people. No, the teachers are even more racist than the everyday Asians, Latinos, and white folks out there. So the biggest first step for you right now, though, is to get somebody in there to observe the classroom, because they may come back to you with a completely different story. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. This is your big brother, Dr. Ifa Tunde Ogun Tade, Intercontinental Ifa Tunde, the most relevant, the most requested, and the most revolutionary black scholar, conscious organizer on the planet Earth. There's every country, every continent, every community. I am numero uno. Tonight is the Black Parent Teleconference, where I use my expertise. I put on my psychology hat tonight. I put on my educator hat tonight. I put on my diagnostician hat tonight. I put on my evaluator hat tonight. If you have a question about your child or a child you work with, because all the children belong to us, for the next 2 hours and 2 hours only, I'm going to answer questions from the global African community regarding our children. So if you have a question, you can text me, 215-989-9858, your first name and your city. Please follow directions, your first name and your city, and I will call you live and you will ask your question. If your question is not about our children, I reserve the right to hang up on you. This is about the children, saving the children. We give everything else our attention. Tonight, we're going to focus on saving the babies, which is my crusade. In case you haven't already heard my announcement, we will not be having the grand opening of FDMG this Kwanzaa. We will not be having the grand opening of FDMG this Kwanzaa. We have some HVAC things that we need to straighten out in order to pass the inspection, and a couple of other things that need to be repaired in order for us to get our building occupancy permit. So with that being said, on New Year's Day, I'm going to make an announcement as to whether or not the community grand opening will be held in Black History Month. That means February, or during the spring. Black History Month or during the spring. That is an announcement I will make on New Year's Day. Our goal for this year is to get all the repairs done in these final 3 months of 2023. Get that building occupancy permit, so we can let you brothers and sisters into FDMG Academy, so we can start having our fundraisers, our events, our seminars, our conferences, our workshops, our study groups, so forth and so on. So make sure you hit your Cash App, $FDMG School. Please support us. Hit your Cash App, $FDMG School. My international Africans, hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. paypal.me/FDMG Academy. This is the first school in American history built exclusively and totally by the collective African diaspora. The entire African world contributed and donated to the creation of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. That has never been done before in American history. Every continent and nearly every country donated to this effort to educate our children, and we do plan to take the FDMG movement global. Once we open up the Wilmington campus, we want the Detroit campus, we want the Mississippi campus, the Arkansas campus, the Atlanta campus, the Fort Lauderdale campus, we want the Boston campus, the Hartford, Connecticut campus, we want the Brooklyn campus, the Bronx campus, the Manhattan campus, we want the Queens campus, the Staten Island campus, we want the Trenton, New Jersey campus, the Camden, New Jersey campus, the Jersey City campus, the Newark, New Jersey campus. And speaking of Jersey City, for my New York City family, we got any New Jersey Africans in the building? Do we have any New Jersey Africans in the building? I will be speaking in Jersey City for the first time ever. I will be coming to Jersey City for the first time ever. I will be speaking in Jersey City, New Jersey on Tuesday, October the 17th from 6 until 9. Tuesday, October the 17th from 6 until 9. Tuesday, October the 17th from 6 until 9 at the Urban League of Hudson County. The Urban League of Hudson County, located in Jersey City, New Jersey. It will be a Prince of Pan-Africanism debut, Black Parent Advocate book release. Prince of Pan-Africanism debut lecture in Jersey City, New Jersey at the Urban League of Hudson County Auditorium. You don't need no tickets. You don't need to register. All you have to do is show on up. Jersey City, I'm coming with the Garvey grenade. Jersey City, I'm pulling up hard. So I want to see all my Jersey City Africans on Tuesday, October the 17th. Omaha, Nebraska, I'm pulling up December the 2nd. Omaha, Nebraska, I'm pulling up December the 2nd. Omaha, Nebraska, I'm pulling up December the 2nd. Nat Turner Land, we will be back in Nat Turner Land, Virginia, November the 11th, 11/11. We will be back in Nat Turner Land, Virginia, November the 11th. Make sure you go to natturnerlibrary.com and get your tickets. Go to natturnerlibrary.com and get your tickets. Memphis, Tennessee, Black Friday weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Not that we should be celebrating that as African people. Memphis, Tennessee, Black Friday weekend, the weekend immediately following Thanksgiving. Although we should not be celebrating that because we are Africans, it will be a Black Parent Boot Camp. The Tennessee State Black Parent Know Your School Rights Boot Camp will be in Memphis, Tennessee, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So once again, brothers and sisters, this is the Black Parent Teleconference. Free questions and answers. If you have a question about your son or daughter, autism, behavior, 504, snow bunny racism in the classroom, intellectual disability, reading disabilities, psychological evaluations, 504 plans, any questions about your child, text my phone, your first name and your number, your first name and your city, and state, and I will call you so you can ask the question. All right, let's see who we got. Anybody have a question about their child to start us off tonight? Let me see here. Who gonna start us off tonight? If you have a question about your child, text your name and your city to 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. I don't see any parents on here. If you have a question, this is your time. I'll hang around for maybe 30 minutes. If there's no questions, we're going to end early. Of course, that's absolutely insane because you know our children are catching hell. You know they are special educating our children. You know they are ADHD in our children. They are medicating our children. So a lack of interest on Friday night means Black parents have better things to do than solve their children's problems. A lack of interest on Friday night means Black parents have better things to do than solve their children's problems. A lack of interest on a Friday night means Black parents have better things to do than solve their children's problems. I'm gonna give it 10 minutes for some parents to chime in. Again, this is the Black Parent Teleconference. If you know of a parent, everybody knows of a pajama mama who don't know what the hell she doing with her children. Everybody knows of a pajama mama or a pajama papa who don't know what they're doing with their children. You need to text them. You need to call them. You need to tell them Dr. Umar getting out free advice. And your ass need to be the first one on the call because your children is failing school. Don't go to school. You think you homeschooling, but you ain't doing nothing but home fooling around. The number to text your name and city to so I can call you live. I will call you live on the phone, 215-989-9858. If we don't get any parents, I'm just going to open it up for general questions. But I want to give the parents a chance.
Hello?
Good evening, Sister Amber. You're live with Dr. Umar. How are you, my sister?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, doing okay. I was going to, okay, you're in California, correct?
Yeah, Southern California.
Southern California. And you said they're trying to kick your 5-year-old son out for behavior.
Yes.
Okay, is he at a preschool, public school, charter school, private school, independent school? Where is he?
He's in a public school.
He's in a public school. He kindergarten or pre-K?
Kindergarten.
Okay, they're trying to kick him out. School started when for your son? When did school start? August, September?
August, like August 21st.
Okay, so late August. So he's only been in school about 6 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if he's only been in school about 6 weeks, what is he doing that has these people wanting to kick him out of the school only 6 weeks into kindergarten? Talk to me.
So they're saying he has a lot of, well, let me say he's in a dual immersion program. So he's learning in English and Mandarin. There's not a lot of us in the school. But I'm getting like daily complaints about different things.
Like what? Give me some of the complaints specifically. What is he doing specifically?
So one I got was he's talking about boyfriends and girlfriends, which isn't appropriate at that age. But, he's getting that from the kids at school. Like, he told me this kid at school has a girlfriend, and they kiss. And he was talking about it. So he got reprimanded saying that's inappropriate. I will admit, he does have a problem with keeping his hands to himself. Like, he hits, like, not like socks someone like hard, but he will like hit them, open-handed hit on the arm or on the leg or something like that. Some other things they complained about. He's makes noise during class. I got one today that he was, during reading time, he was being disruptive and making odd noises. When I asked him about it, he said, he and his friend were talking and making noises and laughing, and I guess they were, weren't paying attention. So today I got a call from the principal saying that he's on a district inter-district permit. I did that because I wanted him to go to that school to learn Mandarin, but they're going to revoke his permit if his behavior doesn't change.
Most of the children in his class are of what race?
Asian.
Okay.
Mostly Asian. There's like maybe one or two Caucasian kids. He's the only black kid in this program. I've probably seen maybe about 3. He started it last year.
Okay. And overall in the school, the students are mostly what?
I think white, Asian, Hispanic.
Mostly what, though? Who's the predominant?
Mostly? Actually, I'd probably say maybe Hispanic. Yeah.
Okay, Hispanic followed by Asians, or the blacks are second most?
No. There's not many of us at all.
So it's mostly Asian and Hispanic.
Yeah.
The teachers are mostly what?
Probably white and Asian.
And your son's teacher is what?
Asian and Hispanic.
So he has, what do you mean Asian and Hispanic? He has an Asian teacher and a Hispanic teacher, or he has a mixed Asian and Hispanic teacher?
No, he has one Asian teacher and one Hispanic teacher. So he does half of the day he's in English, and then the second and a half he's learning Mandarin. So he has 2 teachers that he switches midway through the day.
Okay. How many other black boys are in his class?
None.
He's the only black boy. How many other black girls are in his class?
None.
Okay, so he's the only black kid in the classroom.
Yes.
All day long.
Yes.
With an anti-black Asian teacher for half of the day and an anti-black Hispanic teacher the other half of the day.
That's what it's seeming.
Okay, I don't like the setup for a black boy because the Latinos in California are very much anti-African. And the Asians everywhere in America are pretty much anti-African. I believe there's a strong chance your son may be getting racially profiled in that classroom. He may be being academically terrorized. He may be getting scholastically criminalized. So what I recommend, and there's a couple of things. Number one, you want to inquire as to what exactly is the classroom-based discipline program. Because one thing that we understand about behavior is children change more when they are being rewarded when they do well. So
they do have, I guess it is like a reward system. So they start off, I guess they have like 3 magnets. If they have any issues, they get a magnet taken away. And like a sticker program, if they fill all their stickers, they can get something from like their treasure chest or something like that.
Okay, but here's the point. As someone who specializes in childhood behavior problems, if you're still getting phone calls from the principal or the teacher, the system isn't working. So you need to ask, what are they doing to adjust that system so that your son will respond to it? All behavior is a function of 2 things. And you need to say this when you speak with them. All behavior is a function of 2 things. Number 1, the context, the environment. In your son's case, the classroom, the teachers, the students, the temperature, the lighting, the seating, everything. The environment matters. So context. All behavior is a function of context. So what are they doing in the context to manipulate the variables so that your son responds more favorably to what they want? So that's number 1. Don't let them put this all on you, because his behavior is a function of the environment. Number 2, the behavior is a function of the consequences that are handed out as a result of that behavior. In other words, the punishments, if the punishments are not effective, his behavior will not change. Rewards, if the rewards are not effective, the behavior will not change. And you, because there's a strong chance that your son is being racially profiled, you want to make sure that they are using positive reinforcement. My first question would be, what do you do when my son is doing what he is supposed to do? Because you have to reward and acknowledge the good if you want to see more of that in children. And what a lot of these schools do is they only punish our boys when they misbehave, but they do not reward them when they do well.
Yeah, we actually had...
Hold on. Let me give you some more. Let me give you some more game, because I'm not done. And then you're going to respond. So that's number 1. All behavior is a function of consequence, and all behavior is a function of context. What is being done in the classroom? And if it's not working, how have they modified that? And you want to bring up race. You cannot be shy or apprehensive about bringing up the racial factor. Your son is the only black kid in the class. If it were me, I would ask them, Are you targeting my son because he's the only black child in your class? I would ask them because he's the only one. Okay? Now, what you may end up having to do is you may end up having to hire a black psychologist or behavior specialist to go into your son's classroom and observe the class. Because California is the birthplace of the Association of Black Psychologists, you will have no problem finding a black psychologist to go into the classroom to observe your son. In fact, if you shoot me a text message tomorrow, I might even have some names for you that you can contact. Okay? And what you will do is you will write a letter to the principal saying, based on the complaints being made by my son's teachers, do not ask, tell them. We have to stop asking, tell them. Based on these complaints, I have retained the services of a psychologist who's going to come in and observe my son. I need to know on what days and during what times is he most likely to be off task, because you want the psychologist to come on those days and during those times that the school says your son is most likely to be off task. So I recommend 3 observations on 3 different days, preferably during 3 different weeks. So week 1 might be a Monday during the problem time period they give you. Week 2 might be a Wednesday during the problem time period that they give you. Week 3 might be a Friday during the problem time period that they give you. Now, if they don't specify a problem time and they exaggerate and say your son is always misbehaving, then have the psychologist observe him all day Monday, week 1, all day Wednesday, week 2, and all day Friday, week 3. You don't want all the observations to take place in the same week, because if your son is having a good week, those racists inside his school could dismiss it as he just had a good week. He's not normally this way. On the flip side, if he has a very bad week, you may want to dismiss it and say my son doesn't act like that all the time. So when it comes to behavioral observation, you want to get multiple samples. 3 is good. You can do more, but a minimum of 3. 1 ain't going to cut it, because if he has a bad day, they're going to try to use that against him. If he has a good day, they're going to try to disqualify it. So I recommend 3 observations on 3 different days during 3 different weeks. Okay. That now let me give you a third thing that you want to be. And your son is not special ed, correct?
No.
Okay. The third thing, you want to keep this in your cap. I don't think we're there yet, but at some point in the future, we may have to get there. And that is because your son is the only black kid in the class. You may have to consider at some point, I think it's too early right now, but at some point, you may have to consider making a complaint with the United States Department of Education Office of Civil Rights that your son is being unfairly targeted because they don't want him in that school or they don't want him in that classroom. That is something I just want you to know, that you can make a federal complaint against that school for discriminating in federally funded programs based on race. Okay, but you got to get you somebody in there to observe your son. You got, because you get a black psychologist in there, they might, and you make sure you let the psychologist know you are not to communicate with nobody in the school but me. I'm hiring you. If they ask you any questions about what you said, the psychologist should simply respond, we will have a meeting with the mother and we will discuss this together. We will have a meeting with the mother and we will discuss this together. That's how you handle that. But they're not to talk to nobody but you. Do not give no permission for no evaluations and testing. Okay, because black mothers seem to have some kind of deficiency when white people ask them to get their kids tested for special ed at 3, 4, and 5. Black mothers go signing paperwork and don't even know what the hell they signing up for. So please don't sign your son up for nothing. If they tell you they want him to be seen by a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or the pediatrician for meds, tell them absolutely not. My son is a normal, healthy black boy. He doesn't have ADHD, and I'm not taking him anywhere. You shut that down right from the gate. But the biggest thing you need to do right now is get somebody in there to observe, because how do you know that the other kids may be worse than your son? How do we know the white kids ain't misbehaving? How do we know the Asian kids aren't misbehaving? How do we know they're not targeting him? And you have to remember, when it comes to black children, especially our boys, they're not given a childhood. Nobody gives black children a childhood, not even the black community, to be honest with you. They're judged as adults. Your 5-year-old son is being expected to behave like he's an 18-year-old man, and that's not fair. He's a child. Nothing you said to me about the behavioral infractions they've reported, nothing you said to me was egregious enough, in my opinion, having been a school principal. Nothing you said is egregious enough to justify them saying they want to remove him from the school. So I think they targeted him because everything you gave me was a regular behavior. He ain't spit on nobody. He ain't cursing. He ain't threatening nobody. He ain't running out of the classroom. Like, these are some of the things I hear about. What your son is doing, although inappropriate, definitely 6 weeks into school should not be raised to the level of possible disinvitation. And the other thing I want you to know, that, you know, even though he's in there on a special admit or whatever the case may be, expulsion law might hold in your son's case, meaning the only entity that can remove a child from a school, kick them out. Well, technically you're expelled from the district, not the school, so it may not fly, but they just can't disinvite him. There has to be a protocol and a procedure and a policy involved just to remove your son. But as a parent, you're going to have to consider whether or not putting your son in that school as the only black kid, whether or not that's the best move that we can make at this time. Now, again, we don't want to run. We want to fight first. We want to fight. But as a mother who cares about your son, you still have to be concerned about whether or not he's being targeted and being emotionally abused in there by those teachers. Now, if he's not complaining about school, I wouldn't worry about it. But if he starts saying, Mommy, I don't want to go to school, do I have to go back? If he's not motivated, if they're killing his love for learning, then we might have to make a switch. But I recommend that we don't cut and run, that we fight, because too often black people run when we should be fighting. The other thing too that got to be considered in all of this is whether or not your son is mentally gifted. Okay, because a lot of times, you know, I was one of those children. I didn't pass the mentally gifted evaluation, but I was one of those high achieving kids where the work was really easy for me. And I was a class clown. I was a goofball because there was nothing else to do. The work was easy. I was one of the first ones finished. So if the work is too easy for your son, we got to consider that too. Does he need to be evaluated for gifted? If California still has a gifted policy, does he need to be promoted by 1 grade because the work is too easy? That's something else we're going to have to look at. And I want you to understand that it would be a cold day in hell before that Asian teacher or that Latino teacher says your son might be gifted, because they would have to admit that he may be smarter than all of those Asian and Latino kids in that classroom. And that's not something they're going to admit. So you're really going to have to start looking at his homework, looking at his grades, look at the work they give him, and determine whether or not that classroom is too easy for your son, because he may very well be too smart for what they're teaching. And those two teachers, and I don't want to generalize every single Asian or every single Latino, but we just got to be honest. America is in a state of heightened anti-blackness. Latinos and Asians never really like black people anyway. And in California, they really don't like black people. So you have to take all of that into account in dealing with this situation. And please don't be naive. Like so many black mothers I talk to, they're naive. They think that because the Asian is a teacher, she's not a racist. Because the Latino is a teacher, she's not a racist. No, the teachers are even more racist than the everyday Asians, Latinos, and white folks out there. So the biggest first step for you right now, though, is to get somebody in there to observe the classroom, because they may come back to you with a completely different story.
Mm-hmm. We did have so I got, the principal called me probably like half hour before you started this, saying I'm going to send that behavioral warning, district warning, where he'll have to go back to his home district.
So there would be an expulsion. That would be an expulsion. I thought you were saying, listen to me. I thought you were saying that he was in a different school in the same district. You're saying that he's coming across district. So in essence, they would be expelling your son unless you voluntarily removed him. And they cannot expel your son. Only the school board of that district where he attends school, only the school board can expel your son. No principal can expel. Okay? Keep that in mind. I've been a principal and an assistant principal. No principal can expel a child. So just keep that in your mind, because you may, and another thing too, I hope you're documenting all these conversations. Please tell me you're writing this stuff down. We cannot be lazy about this. Black parents are very poor when it comes to documenting incidents and conversations. You have to document all of this. Today's conversation needs to be documented, whether you put it on a computer, write it in a notebook, whether you have an audio, like on the iPhone, you have the audio memo app. You can just talk it to yourself. You know, tonight, principal called such and such. He said blah, blah, blah. I said blah, blah, blah. But you're going to need to translate that into written form if you ever have to fight for your son. But you got to document. Don't let these conversations go by and you're not writing down dates, times, individuals, and what was said. You got to keep the receipts.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, two things I'm doing. Two things you need to do. First thing you need to do is you need to respond with a letter. You need to respond with a letter with your concerns. I can review that letter before you send it in.
Okay.
You need a letter, because all you getting is from them. They haven't heard from you. You have nothing on paper at all pushing back against what they're saying and attempting to do with your son. You cannot do that. This is racist America. Write your letter up. 1 page, no emotional language. Okay, make sure you include in there federally funded programs, including public schools, are not allowed to discriminate on the basis of race. That is against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It's against the Civil Rights Educational Amendments. Make sure you put that in there. And then you're going to send me the letter. You're going to text me after you email me the letter, or you're going to text me for my email address, and then you're going to text me after you email it so I can look at it and see if I feel it's good enough for you to send it in, or if you got to make some changes. They need a letter from you next week. You have to push back now. Don't mention you're going to hire a psychologist. That's the second letter they're going to get once you find that psychologist. But you need to find them. You need to find you the psychologist this week, and that school needs a letter this week. You have to push back saying, I believe my son is being singled out and targeted. No patience is being shown. He's only 5 years old. You got to push back a little bit here.
Okay.
You feel me?
100%.
And don't go to no school meetings by yourself either. Do not go to... Is the father involved?
No.
Okay, find you somebody to go with you. Cousin, brother, next door neighbor, somebody from the conscious community, your girlfriend, your sister, your coworker. Do not go to any meeting about your son alone. And if that meeting has to take place by Zoom, you make sure you record the screen. But when at all possible, my sister, go into the school to meet about your child. We don't want Zoom meetings. And the reason we don't want Zoom meetings is there's always people outside of the screen you can't see, whispering, conversating, passing paperwork, and you can't see it. When at all possible, you want face-to-face.
Yeah, we actually had a meeting Monday about this. There was an incident first week of the school where this little boy, the little boy was sitting down and he kicked my son, and my son kicked him back, but he kicked him on the chin, right?
Oh, geez. Now. Go ahead, finish that. He got what?
So he got his, recess taken away for...
What did the boy get for kicking him?
That's what I asked. Apparently nothing. I told the principal, I was like, look, the little...
That needs to be in your letter. Children are picking on my son. Nothing happens. When he responds, he gets in trouble, and they don't. That needs to be in the letter. That's clear discrimination. Continue.
I did ask him that. He said he's going to, talk to both kids. He said he talked to both kids. He said there was a video of the incident, I did ask to see it, but he still hasn't shown me. So he said what he saw was the boy was just sitting there, and that him and my son and see him doing that, but I still haven't seen the video. I don't know what angle the video was taken, so yeah.
Okay. So, number one, I want you to make sure you have a conversation with your son. You're going to need a discipline plan at home too. You need to get you a dry erase calendar, and you need to get your son 2 different color markers, a red one for school, a green one for home. The colors don't matter. Please don't use pink. Okay. And when he comes home from school every day, you get a report from the teacher. If he had a good day at school, he get a smiley face. If he had a bad day at school, he get a sad face. That's how he does at school. Same thing that we do at home, right? And what you do with your son is he gets a reward that day if he has a good day. And it should be something that no gifts, no money. It should be activities. You get to choose the movie. You get to cook with mom. You get to choose dessert. Something really simple. Because at your son's age, the most important thing for him is your attention. Nothing is more important for a 5, 6, 7-year-old than parent attention. Sometimes we do them a disservice because we introduce money and expensive gifts when all they want is time. But you need a behavior plan in the house, and you got to talk to your son because he's a little too comfortable around them. And I know why. He don't understand racism. And you're going to have to talk to him a little bit and say, listen, you got to stop all this. You don't hit back at this time. You come and you tell me. He got to get in the habit of waiting till he gets home and tell you. But you need a reward system as well and punishment system as well at home. And you got to be consistent, sister. If you're not consistent, you cannot change his behavior. You got to have discipline to teach discipline.
Yeah, I just started that this week after our discussion with the principal. I did, because I just found you maybe like a week ago. Like, I mean, I've heard of you, like more of your recent stuff, but I didn't know about,
How you just found me a week ago, and I've been helping Black parents for 25 years. Help me understand that.
Well, because I don't know, like I like I said, I knew about like.
I'm just picking with you. I'm just picking with you. You got me now. You got me now. Any final question, good sister? Any final question before I let you go so you can start working on that letter this weekend?
Okay, so like I said, he does have issues with keeping his hands to himself sometimes. Anything that any advice you can give with that? We talked
your discipline plan. Talking doesn't change behavior. Remember this. Talking doesn't change punishment. At 5 years old, the 2 most important things you can do to deal with misbehavior at 5: early bed, time out, no toys, no TV. Those are your punishment. Reward is time with mommy outside the home. You have a good week at school, you're going to choose a movie. We going to the movies. We going to the park. We going to the museum. We going to the Please Touch. Rewards are going to be activities outside the house. Punishments are going to be denial of privileges inside the house. 5 years old, you can nip that behavior in the bud. Stop the talking, stop the conversations, and start delivering punishment.
Gotcha. Okay.
You feel me?
Yes, 100%.
When you going to have that letter done so I can look at it?
Until tomorrow. I'm going to work on it tonight.
Okay. Once it's ready, shoot me a text.
Okay.
Okay, Queen.
Right, thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good one.